The kind of leadership our world craves today isn't found in boardrooms, Washington, D.C., or in lofty titles. The leaders that can change everything are already among us, unseen, unnamed, and right beside us. The world is changing right before our eyes. And with this change comes this growing realization the old ways of leadership are falling short. People are tired of leaders who are driven by ego, greed, power, those that want to lead for ambition and personal profit and status. Many are losing trust in this system that was meant to guide us. We see institutions buckling under their own weight, disconnected from the real needs of the people. In this video, I want to talk about what I see as the rise of a new breed of leaders, a new kind of leader, not defined by titles or power, but by a set of values that are human-centered. These are the leaders who exist in our communities. They're not motivated by what they can gain, but by what they can give, what they can build, and how they can elevate us all. Adam Grant talks about this in his book, Power Moves. He says that there's this clear distinction between givers and takers. Givers are motivated by a desire to uplift others, while takers are primarily focused on their own gains. They want to know what they can get out of it, right? And we can tell a lot about who those takers are by the language that they use. This is why the loudest in the room may gain your attention, but they also reveal their intention. So I want to explore a little bit about how we can tap into our own intentions as we're ushered into this new world and this new way of being and discover the new leaders within. So what has history taught us about fallen empires? If you watch the video by Ray Dalio, The Changing World Order, he explains the falling empires and how they share this common characteristics. They have leadership stagnation, they have excessive debt, widening wealth gaps, and they're disconnected. There's a disconnection between leaders and the population. As leadership becomes increasingly self-serving, the values and unity that once held these societies together begin to deteriorate. The key aspect that resonates with me is this notion of the values and unity that once held society together. Now, while the exact nature of those values is open to debate, it is evident that without fostering unity, these values cannot be considered true values of the people. So in a study in March of 2024, the American City and County published an article highlighting the significant decline in public trust towards the local governmental leaders. And in 2023, the State of Local Government Leadership Pipeline Survey, which was conducted by Government Leadership Solutions in partnership with Invisio, they revealed that local government leaders are acutely aware of this erosion of trust and its detrimental impact on their effectiveness. So this decline in trust, it undermines the ability of public sector institutions to serve their communities effectively. This erosion of trust is not confined just to government institutions. It reflects a broader trend affecting a lot of various societal institutions. And I want you to read more about this in my Substack, How Our Leaders Are Failing Us. Recent studies also show that there's this big gap between corporate leaders and employees. Now, we've seen this for over years. This is nothing new. But in 2023, there was a report through the Harvard Law School Forum, excuse me, on corporate governance. And it found that 79% of executives believe that employees trust the company, where only 65% of employees actually agree. And then this year in 2024, a PwC survey found that 86% of executives think that they have their employees' trust, while only 60% of employees agree. Now, this tells me that there is a disconnection between our leaders and the people that they serve, resulting in policies and actions that do not align with the collective. So, who are these new leaders? Well, I will say that they're not here to save us. Number one, we cannot be looking for someone to save us, because at the end of the day, we are the leaders we are seeking, all right? But these leaders are people that are change makers, right? They're willing to take the road less traveled and to clear the way of this path for us to follow. At the same time, they're modeling for us to clear our own paths along the way, right? While having a periphery beyond the space that they inhabit. So they can see forward, they can see backwards, they can see all around, and they can see that there's so many different ways as people come together to make a way. These new leaders are focused on the community and the people in it. They can evolve their thinking because they're driven by learning, and they flourish on co-creating and collaborating. They're not they're not solitary heroes, but they believe in the power of this collective action to make a true difference. These are all human-centered values, and these shape their intentions, and then their intentions drive their actions. So I believe that we're in a time where we will see change at a community level now more than we will see at a global scale. This is where the new leaders will be grown. Community development will be the training ground that nurtures this growth. And as we focus, or as we're forced actually to be more focused on our micro lens at the needs of our communities, people will come together to address those needs, and then they will step up to lead and facilitate change. This is what will replace the old mechanisms of hierarchy and in competition. This will transform the way we think about education and health and safety, work, and our environment. So there's also, with this, there's a potential for these shifts in our corporate environments as more leaders embrace their true role with a deeper understanding of leadership. Leaders must recognize that it is entirely possible for you to drive profits while centering the well-being of their employees and their stakeholders. Top-heavy organizations, I do not believe, will survive this next era. And those that do survive without adapting will struggle, because the true lifeline of any business is the health and the well-being of your team. Now, a lot of work still needs to be done in the area of leadership development. So to address these issues, effective leadership development has to go beyond the basics trainings. I talked about this in my last post as well. You have to incorporate some deeper elements like emotional intelligence and do your personal healing, right? And we see this need more and more, especially in the workplace, because there was a survey done that showed 84% of US workers believe that poorly trained managers create unnecessary stress. They contribute to a toxic workplace environment. So leaders who are lacking self-awareness, meaning they're unable to perceive their own weaknesses, their emotions, and their behaviors, they can contribute to a lower team morale and decreased organizational commitment. A lack of personal training and development often limits a leader's ability to effectively support and uplift their team. You cannot be an effective leader in that way. So when it comes to leadership, I know that there's a lot that we can critique, out there. But I think now is the time for us to really turn the lens back at ourselves and ask some hard questions about our own intentions, right? So here's just a couple of questions that you can ask yourself. Are your actions aligned with the values that serve others rather than just your own interest? How can you actively work to create a culture of empathy, support, and respect? How are you modeling leadership to the people around you, right? And do you embody the qualities that you expect of others, right? Transparency, compassion, collaboration, all of those things. Listen, if we want something different, we have to do things differently, and it has to start with us. We can keep saying how we expect from other people, but it all starts with us. This new leadership begins within each one of us. It's not about the titles. It's not about the actions. I'm sorry, it's not about the titles, but it is about the actions and the impact that we leave on the people around us. And I know that this may be a challenge in the times that we're in, but if we practice the self-awareness, if we do the work that we need to do for ourselves, and then if we prioritize the collective well-being, this new leadership can lead us into a new era, one defined by equity, empathy, and collaboration. This is just the foundation for creating communities and organizations where every individual feels valued and they feel empowered to contribute to something greater. So let me know in the comments below, who do you know that's a leader, but may not be as charismatic, may not always be vocal, but you know is taking the charge and leading in your community? And what are ways that you are leading, and how are you going about being aware of every action that you take, right? What is the self-work that you're doing in your leadership role to keep yourself in check? I hope you found this valuable. Please like, subscribe, share, and I hope to see you again soon.